Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Marilyn Darling Show. Today I thought I would talk about baby's bottom and cavitation. Alright, that is a sign that we are live. Okay, let's just turn the sound off. There we go. Okay, so these are just a few diagrams of what they look like. So, for example, if you look at a nib, straight on, I'm going to turn the light on so I can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to turn up the lights so I can see what I'm doing. So if you were to look at a nib straight on, you would be able to see that the nib itself should be I'm sorry, I'm doing this over my computer. There we go. You should be able to see that the nib is round with a slit in the middle and it doesn't have any gapping in it. Any significant gapping, so that you can see just the tiniest bit of light going through it, right? Well, when you're pushing down on your pen, I don't want to do this on my I don't have a piece of acetate. I can do this one. Hold on just 1 second. I wasn't thinking. Okay, well, you know what? We'll just do this on a sticky note. So when you push down, you're spreading your tines out just a little bit. Maybe that would be better. So you're pressing down and you're creating a crevice between the tines. Even if you have a stiff nib, you're still creating a little bit of gap so that the tines can spread apart to transfer the ink from the reservoir down the feed and out to the tip of the nib. Now, so that's what that should look like. Oops, wrong. When you have baby's bottom, there will be usually it happens with broad nibs, but it can happen with medium and extra fine nibs because they're very, very fine. This is like on the micrometer scale, which is like 1/100th of a millimeter, 1/100th of a millimeter. And so we'll do these fingers there. So when you have a piece of paper, sorry, I'm not prepared. When you have a piece of paper, the nib touches the paper, there we go, but the ink doesn't get to the bottom of where the baby's bottom sits. Therefore, you're just gliding metal over paper. And so you're not getting any ink. So you're having to do like pulling it one side in order to get the ink, or pulling it the other way in order to get the ink to go. So that's when you have things like cavitation. Cavitation is when the nib tines spread apart from the bottom. Let's see, from the bottom, creating like a crevice going like this. Going like, no, the other way, this. That's cavitation. If you have your nibs coming apart like this, your tines coming apart like that, that's where that can come in. So you have to be careful not to tilt your nibs too tightly one way or the other. And then sometimes you'll have nibs that look like this, where the slit is completely off kilter. In these cases, it's best to probably seek out someone who has experience with twisting the tip of the nib carefully, because otherwise you can snap one of these tines off and then that would be the end of that nib, unless you grind it down and make it into a stub. So you don't want this to be the case. You want more like this is how it should look. Now, I have noticed that left-handed pens have a slight right bend, like a slight larger tine on the left. Yes, on the left when looking at the nib. And a right-handed person's will have a larger... No. So let me think about this. Yes. So the left-handed persons will have a larger piece on the right, and the right-handed persons will have a larger piece on the left, looking at it head on. I don't know why that is, but that's just kind of my experience. And you can see that in some pens. You clearly see that there's more tipping on this side, which is the side that I write with, going up this way. I don't know why that is. So, the best advice I can give you is if you're having nibs that look like this, I forgot to draw in the slit here. If you're having nibs that look like this, or this, where it's twisted, you should probably seek, especially if it's 14 karat, 18 karat gold, because fixing this problem with steel is probably as easy as taking a pair of flattened tweezers, angling the nib so that it's faced with the tweezers, and then just squeezing the tines together. Not necessarily on the very end, but just squeezing the sides of the tines together until they're just touching. So when you're looking at it from an overview, it should look like sorry, my it should look like this. A nice round ball. Whoa, my round circles are terrible. It should look like a nice round ball on the end with a slit going right up the middle. And you should be able to see just the tiniest bit of light going down the tiniest bit of light going through your tines. So it should look very even like this. Sorry about the light. Let me just turn that off. Useless for now. So one of the problems that people have is when you start looking at cavitation. This is a very poor design, just so you know, but when you have a nib, my nibs are terrible, sorry. When you have nibs that are coming out like this and then they wonk over to one side, it's when you start to have worries. So the worst case is when it's like, how do I say this? So when you have a ball and you have this type of a problem where the tines are just way too far apart, then you have to push on the sides of the tines to get them to go closer to each other. You do not want a big gap. Otherwise, one, the liquid will not have capillary action enough to get to the tip of the nib. Or two, you could pop off a tine. So, but when you look at it, you should have, I don't know why I keep drawing it like this. You should have just like a tiny gap in it. So that way, it's when you get into problems like where it's like this, or it's like this, or where it's like this, that you start to have the problems. And you will see on the sides of the nib will look wonky. Like this whole bottom piece will look like wonky. I don't even know how to say it. But it will look twisted on one side or the other. And this is where you would want to take and squeeze the tines at the end, just to like with the tweezers, just to get them to close. This is all with a grain of salt. If you do not feel comfortable doing anything like that, my advice is to find your local nibmeister, or if you're working with gold, or if you have a pen with a warranty, ask the place that you bought it to either replace it or make sure that you always look at your tines with a loop before you start writing with it, before you ink it, so that way you can tell if it's got a wonky slit or not. Because if it comes with a slit that's wonky, then you want to make sure and contact your seller right away. It should not look like this. It should not look like this, or this, or this. It should look like this. So I hope that that helps. I just looked through my pens. I don't have any. I must have either broken my nib, because I know I had one of them. I don't know what I did with it, but it had some serious cavitation. It was just like, wah, like this. And I was like, oh no. And I tried to squeeze the ends together, but I think I snapped off a tine and then I just replaced the nib. And that's one of the things you could also do, is you could replace your nibs. Unless it's a vintage nib, and then you'll have to talk to a vintage person to possibly get a new nib. Anyway, I hope that this information was helpful to you. That's all I've got for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring the little bell. Make sure it's set to all, so when I upload new content, YouTube notifies you. If you'd like to become a member, you can do so for as low as 99 cents a month. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my members: Cynthia, Rahul, Wolf Kate Witch, Arcboy, Vermilion Tea, Simply Obs, Lynette, and Wumble Bumblebee. Also, please don't forget to check out the links in the description to my website, join the calligraphy class, check out the paper reviews page, join the Discord, and if you'd like to save 10% off on your next order to Pen Boutique or Atlas Stationers, I am an affiliate. When you use my link, you get a discount, and I get a small commission so that I can make better content for all of you. And that just leaves me to say, get out there and enjoy your life. Be with the people you love. Tell them you love them. And I love you to pieces. Have a great day. Okay, love you, bye.